We're joined by Rick Rule now on the sidelines of the Minds and Money Conference in Toronto. Rick, welcome back.
Always a pleasure, Daniela. Thanks for having me.
Rick, you're on a whole bunch of panels here at the show. In fact, we have a fireside chat tomorrow, which I urge everyone to attend, of course. But you are speaking on a panel today that's looking at how Trump can impact investors as we head into his second year as president. What are you going to say here?
Pretty easy. Trump is about a narrative. He's about appealing to people's emotion, and people would rather feel than think. So the temptation will be to assign Trump credit or blame for a lot of things. The truth is, with regards to resources, I believe him to be completely irrelevant. Irrelevant in every regard other than the narrative. He's picking 50 fights without the backing of his own party and being hated by the other party. So the probability that he actually accomplishes something is nil. He will be used as an excuse for many moves in the market. If you like Trump and something nice happens, you'll give him the credit. If something bad happens, you'll give him the blame. In fact, what I think he is a big sort of orange-skinned, blonde-haired buffoon, and in fact, irrelevant.
I remember last year when we were talking this time, everyone was, looking at how he would impact the gold market. I guess your answer would be he hasn't really done anything for the gold market, but how do you see the gold market right now?
I think the gold market's in very good shape. We've had this discussion before, Daniela. People want to assign all kinds of strange motives to things in the gold market as an excuse not to think. The most important determinant of gold prices for the last 40 years has been that they are negatively correlated with faith in the U.S. dollar and, in fact, faith in the U.S. 10-year Treasury. When the U.S. 10-year Treasury does well, gold does poorly, which has mostly been the condition since 1982. But the U.S. 10-year Treasury is at, I believe, close to the end of a 35-year bull market. If you believe that gold trades contrary to the U.S. 10-year Treasury, it would suggest that gold is much closer to the beginning of a bull market, irrespective of any other factor.
So gold for you is more of an economic play now rather than political?
I think politics to some degree drives some aspects of economics. In other words, I think the United States has made some policy decisions in the last 10 years that has weakened their economy and increased the attractiveness of gold. If the U.S. on-balance sheet liabilities weren't $20 trillion, that's a political problem, the future for gold would be bleak. But that if didn't occur, so the future for gold is unfortunately bright.
Let's talk about the global financial crisis now. I've had many guests come on this past week calling for the doom and gloom and the end of the world. Do you subscribe at all to that, Rick? Or
I don't. I think it's very likely in the next 5 years that we endure some real punishment. But I think that while the damage will be severe to some, it'll be survivable. So although we do incalculable damage to each other politically, we have this huge cancer called government and expectation of success through government. We have this other thing called a market, which is always bigger than government, and I think it will continue to be government. So I think to the extent that tools like the internet and cryptocurrencies allow us to avoid the idiocy of the collective, we'll ultimately come out of this okay.